Test it. Test it.
Testing for sound, hoping to come to you live stream Smart Trucking. We're just doing a sound check. Guys hear me out there okay?
Just a yeah, there we go.
How about a
Yes.
sound check?
They hear us.
Oh, it's working. Hallelujah.
Flip it.
Okay.
Face again. Alright.
Just give it a sec. Loud and clear.
Oh, that's good. Loud and
Just
clear.
wait.
Thank you.
There's our picture.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Well, kind of a lousy evening for Halloween. We're gonna wait for a few more people to join us here. We're a little bit late starting,
84 people.
but Halloween night anyway. They couldn't get me to dress up, but Kathy has, as you guys can see. I guess
He's a party pooper.
she's Catwoman, I guess, but
Well, not really.
pretty hot looking Catwoman anyway.
Bunny ears.
So welcome. We're glad to have this thing working, hopefully, and finally we've got it figured out. I wanted to talk tonight about CDL schools, and it's become a huge thing, especially in the States, and it's a good thing that's kind of gone wrong is the best way I can say it. So let me just start off by getting a rant or two out of the road here. And
Keep going.
then I'll get into the facts and figures here. But I first remember hearing about CDL schools starting up and springing up in probably the mid '70s, I guess. And guys before that, guys my age or older, were kind of self-taught, or we learned from our dads or another old truck driver that we knew or something like that. We were all just kind of winging it, frankly. And when they actually started bringing out a few schools in the '70s, I remember thinking at the time, you know what, that's a really great idea, because guys like me were just kind of self-taught, and we were doing it so that we could get up and down the road, but I'm sure we were doing a lot of things wrong, and I thought, boy, that's a really good idea to have a CDL school or two. We didn't call it CDL schools back then. We called it just truck driver training schools or trucking schools or something like that. But I remember thinking, boy, that might not be such a bad idea, because I know I've developed a few bad habits. I wish I did a few things better. This is going to be good. And so they all started off, and it seemed to go all right. And then the great big trucking companies looked at truck driver training and got the bright idea that, hey, here's another way to make money. And the whole thing just kind of got twisted and corrupted, and from that point on it started its twisted downhill slide to the point that we're at today, which is, it's kind of a sad state of affairs. And the other day not the other day, really it was back in the spring, I think it was, I noticed an ad by Swift Knight saying no contract CDL training, and I laughed right out loud. I couldn't believe it. It just struck me as so funny, because you never used to have to pay for that stuff. They were happy to have you. They were looking for employees. They weren't making employees pay them to get a job, and the whole thing it became a revenue stream for the big trucking companies, and that's where it was corrupt and lost and stuff like that. So I'm sorry, I don't know what you're saying. Come.
Sorry, give us 1 second. We gotta fix it.
Okay.
Video issue.
Yeah, let's pause for a second here. We've got technical difficulties.
We're fixing the video. We'll be right back.
We're fixing the video. We'll be right with you again here. Okay, I hope we're back. I think we're back. Where was I?
Give it a sec. Give it a sec. Try some audio.
How about an audio check? Can you guys, are you hearing me again now? Are we video up? No sound. Okay, now. Video
There we
is
go.
back
There
better.
it
Can
is.
you hear us? I hear you now. Thank you.
Yep.
So I think we're ready to roll again here now. So where was I? Oh, I believe I was talking about Swift Knight and their no contract training. And anyway, just the whole thing just made me laugh because it was so sad how twisted and corrupt the thing's become. Because it truly was a good thing. A guy that didn't know how to drive a truck could learn from an expert, a pro, on how to properly drive a truck and make a career out of the thing. And it was a great thing. Only now, the big trucking companies have opened their own schools, and it's simply to make money. It's a revenue stream for them. And they've got guys with 3 months and 6 months experience doing the training for another lousy couple of cents a mile. And it's become a disaster. And there's some awful things that have happened to trainees, and it's just, I don't even know where to start on it, but trust the big trucking companies to ruin it for everybody, but they pretty much have. Now, I know that sounds a little negative, so I should probably get back on track here about the CDL schools, and I guess my point is that if you're going into the trucking industry these days, you've pretty much got to do the same thing that we had to do back in the early days, and we would seek out a good mentor, basically, someone that knew what they were doing and would teach us. And you basically have to do the same thing today, only you've got to find a CDL school that does it the right way and the honest way. You can't go to one of these training mills like CR England, for instance, just a disaster. You've got to be very selective. You've got to do your homework and pick the right CDL school, because this is serious business. This could be a really good career if you don't allow other people to mess it up for you. And I'm worried sick all the time that these big carriers are just chewing you up and spitting you out and going on, and they wonder why there's a driver shortage, but it's because they're mistreating drivers so poorly, and they're doing it right from the get-go, right from the moment the guy walks in the door and wants to learn how to drive a truck, and it's just a downhill slide. Shouldn't be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. Find the right school, and it's a good career. So now that I've got that off my chest, and I'm kind of passionate about it because I hate seeing people get screwed around. Anyway, so it's just like any other school you've ever been to. What you want to remember is, number one, you've got to take the thing seriously. You've got to give it your all. You've got to put your best effort into it. It's serious business. You're trying to make a career for yourself out of this deal. So you want to pay attention, and you want to find a school that's going to let you drive the truck as much as possible. None of this 20 hours behind the wheel and 100 hours of classroom. You don't learn to drive a truck sitting behind a desk in a classroom. It's as simple as that. You want to find a CDL school that lets you drive the truck and lets you drive the truck a lot and ask questions, and you want to be with a trainer that has years of experience. I mean, years and years, not 1 or 2 years, not 6 months, not 3 months, years of experience. That's the key to this whole thing. That's the key to finding a good CDL school. Something else that Kathy actually pointed out to me and is very valid is you want to pass your driver's medical before you enroll in the CDL school, because you don't want to pay these guys $5,000 or $6,000 to go to CDL school and then have them fail you on your medical. That's a complete disaster. It's money out the window. So great advice from Kathy there. Get your medical done before you go to the school. Make sure they're not going to expel you, because you can't pass the medical. And there are dirty tricks out there, even involved with the medicals when it comes to these big carriers. Suddenly they'll say, according to their doctor, they'll say, well, you've got sleep apnea, so we can help you with that for another $5,000. And I can think of a carrier right off the bat that does that, and I better not name them, but they're in Texas. And it's just another big scam. Something else you need to know, if you're seriously considering CDL school and driving a truck for a living, if you've got a drug or an alcohol problem, just forget it. Don't waste your money. Don't bother to enroll, because you're just wasting your time and everybody else's time too. And you're a potential terror on the highway if you forget yourself and get drunk or get high or something like that. So if you've got an issue like that, stay away from truck driving. It's not for you. You know, maybe you'd be all right in an automotive plant or something like that, but truck driving is not the place for people with issues like that. So there's what I've got to say about that. Well, I should read some of these comments, because I'm sure I'm not the only guy that's got lots to say.
Keeping up with answering, but one thing that you should address are thoughts about the college programs versus the paid training versus the private schools. There's a lot to say about it, but
There is a lot to say about that. Now, my opinion on that is that from what I have seen, the college training programs are generally pretty damn good. And I'd be interested in, what are you doing?
got caught.
Oh my God. I'd be certainly checking out college programs if you're able to do that, if there's a college in your neighborhood that can, and sometimes you can get financial aid with college programs too from the state, so, or the province or whoever. But that's certainly, if there was a college teaching truck driving in my neighborhood, if I were interested in that, that'd probably be the first place I'd start these days. The big carriers just scare the living hell out of me. So yeah, try that route. It's interesting now what you've got to go through to get a license, and it's different no matter where you live. And Ontario here, where we are, had a bright idea a few years ago, because we were having truck wrecks left, right, and center. It was just a disaster. I was scared to go down to the city and drive down there for fear of getting hit, because it was just a disaster. So the province of Ontario got this bright idea that they'd have mandatory truck driver training from a registered truck driver training school. So all the truck driving schools down in southern Ontario got together and went, yeah, gold mine, pumped their rates up through the ceiling. And we were seeing stuff. I did a video on it. And the one school was saying, you know, oh, we'll teach you to drive for $8,000. We won't help you with the financing, but take out a second mortgage on your house or something like that to finance this to go to school. And I was so mad I did a video on that. But the funny part, it all ended up back in their faces, because everybody looked at the price of going to these schools in Ontario and went, forget that, and went to Manitoba and got their licenses for an eighth of the price, or Saskatchewan or Alberta. There are lots of them in Alberta. You can just walk in, get a license, and walk out. So that whole program went right out the window. But there should be something, and it should be federally regulated, because there's no way a guy should be able to go from one state to another, or from one province to another, and bypass the rules, because he's going to be driving through that state or province anyway, probably. So why don't they just do it right? But you know, government again. Something I don't understand is, why can't government do anything right? But anyway, I'm getting off on a roll again here.
Why don't we find out where these people went to school?
Yeah.
Private, paid, or college?
I'd love to know that. If some of you guys out there have been to a school that you would recommend, I'd really be interested to hear about that, because
why?
and why you thought it was so good, because I get the feeling, my sense is that they're rare as hen's teeth. So if you found a good place, a good training school, please share it with us, because we'd love to share that information for everybody else, so they're not getting taken down the river by one of these great big carriers. It's, you know, it helps people out. It'll help them get a career. So
Grant, Apex.
Oh, we're getting some info on that. So that's good, because you know they've got to be out there.
C1 in Springfield.
Oh, I hope you can hear Kathy there. C1 in Springfield has been recommended. But
Sage, we hear a lot about sage.
okay, good. But we've had some disastrous training schools up here. We had one that was famous. It was called Delta Driving School. It was out in Alberta, and it was a complete scam. They had a doctor on the take that would give you a fake medical, and they hooked in with the Ministry of Transportation out there anyway somehow, and they weren't even putting guys in trucks to see if they could drive. They were just for $2,000. They'd give you a truck driving license. Thank God they finally got caught, but they'd managed to generate over 2,000 truck driving licenses first, because everything's a scam. You've got to watch the money, because it's too bad that all the honest intentions have gone out of the trucking industry, and now it's all about trying to make money off of drivers or whoever or wherever they can. But these good schools do exist. I encourage you to hunt them down, because truck driving can be a great career. It was for me. I really liked it. So don't give up, and don't go to one of these big carriers to learn how to drive, because they're just interested in taking your money. And look at the turnover rate at some of these big carriers for drivers, and that proves it. And that's what's generated this driver shortage, because they cheat and abuse their new people, everybody, so badly that you can't stand to stay any longer. But you haven't made enough money that you can really afford to leave to find a better carrier, because God knows when your next paycheck will appear. And it's a vicious circle, and a lot of these carriers keep drivers longer than they should be able to, because the guys are scared to quit, because they don't know where their next dime is coming from. And it's just so wrong. It's just so corrupt, and it doesn't have to be that way. Find a good driving school. Do your homework. Do your research, because it's well worth it. It can make it or break it for you. It will make it or break it for you. So I'm starting to get smoked up just thinking about all the scams out there. But this no contract driver training, and that's a perk, just slays me. Just slays me. And that they would put you in a truck running team on a team schedule with a guy that's only been doing it 6 months maybe, and is spending his time in the bunk. How is he training you when he's sleeping in the bunk? He's not. He's just letting you wing it. Hell, what do you need them for? You might as well go wing it yourself without paying them to do it. Go rent a truck from, a rental truck place, and just go play in the industrial park. You'd be better off than risking your life on the highway with a fully loaded trailer. That's just, I just don't know what to say. I can't believe there aren't laws against that type of thing. But they're not. The big carriers have a whole lot of pull politically, and they pay the right people. But there should be law. That's just fraud. It's just fraud and taking advantage of people. So be very, very careful when you select a school to get your license, because it can make a world of difference. I tell you. Carrie Churchill, man, how are you? Driver trainer needs to be hardcore safety minded. Yes, good point, Corey. Absolutely. And you can tell these guys that have had experience, because that's exactly one of the features that they'll have about them. That'll be a characteristic of them. Safety, 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 and they'll hammer it into you. They'll point out when you're doing something that's potentially bad or hazardous or something like that. Because safety is huge, and it's so easy to get in trouble so quickly with a tractor trailer, with something that size and weight. It's like a freight train cut loose if you run it down a mountain and lose it. So, safety. Yes, thanks, Carrie. It's absolutely. Good point.
We had a super chat donation from D Official 21. Thank you.
Thank you. Art, New York. How stupid can a trainer be to sleep and let the rookie drive? There's
I'd be terrified.
a really good question. And if a rookie finds himself in that situation where the trainer hops in the bunk, the rookie should just pull it over to the shoulder of the road and just refuse to go any further. Say, no, I'm not learning anything when you're back there, and I don't want to be responsible for this rig. And look at the messes that Werner Transportation has gotten themselves into these days with exactly that type of thing, and $1 million lawsuits and they're suing the rookie drivers, they're suing everybody. And how's that of the fault of the rookie driver that just got intimidated into driving the truck while the guy that's supposed to be training him's hopped in the bunk? What's he supposed to do? Pull over to the side of the road, take your hands off the wheel, set the brake, put it in neutral, and go, nope, this isn't working for me because I could kill somebody. And sometimes some guys do, and it's not truly their fault. They're supposed to be learning, and it's not happening.
Thank you, Trey. Thank you, Trey, for the donation in Super Chat. That's one of Nick's friends.
Oh, thank you, Trey. My first company was Trans Am. I don't know a whole lot about Trans Am. I know they're meat haulers out of the Midwest, and they pretty much cornered the market and drove the freight rate for meat through the floor. And I know that for a fact because I hauled meat for a while, for a long time ago. Well, back in the 80s, I guess it was. And they just drove the rates through the floor and got in big with a couple of the big meat producers. But I never hear anything good about them. So there's something to bear in mind right there. They're supposed to be, I believe they're a privately owned carrier and fairly big too, but not doing something right.
So see if you can get a general consensus how these people felt about their training. Did they feel satisfied with the training? Do they feel that they were ready to go on the road when they finished their program? Because we get the general idea from the email that we get that people generally aren't ready. They don't feel good about going solo when they're finished their training.
Yeah, and that's I think that's pretty typical. I think that everybody is apprehensive at first, and rightly so, because you're not really sure of what you're doing. So I'd like to know, after your training was completed, did you feel confident and secure enough to take the thing out in the highway by yourself? Or were you still pretty apprehensive? Do you wish they'd given you more training? What share your thoughts on that with us as well. And I just saw a comment roll by. I'm sorry I lost it, but it was about CRST trainers having 6 months experience. Well, I think everybody knows about CRST, so enough said about them. But that's just, that's criminal is what that is. But it's also typical of a big
Trainer
carrier.
in the bunk is suicidal. Absolutely.
Yeah, Kyle Robinson, that was the guy that commented on CRST. Thank you, Kyle. Yeah, they're a weapon.
I'm so sick of the big carriers and the corruption that comes with them. The owner-operators were fired to be replaced with big carriers that provide zero training and are more expensive.
Yeah, I am not a fan of the big carriers because of the way they've corrupted and twisted the industry, and it's just a shame. I would avoid big carriers like the plague. And it's kind of a sad thing because I think there are probably a couple of them out there that are fairly good. I hear good stuff about Maverick fairly often, believe it or not, and they are a big carrier. So, I hear good things about them. They're doing stuff right, but they're grouped in with all this trash, these other huge outfits, and sadly a mega carrier is a mega carrier is a mega carrier. So, they're kind of painted all with the same brush because the majority of them are so crooked. I don't know how else to say it.
Why don't you go over the crash in Western Canada and what became of that trucking school?
God.
Humboldt. That's what I'm trying
Yeah, we had a deal up here in Canada.
You did a few videos.
We did a few videos on that. Was last year sometime, was it not? About a year ago now, maybe.
Yes, last April.
And out in Alberta was one of these provinces where all you had to have was a pulse to get a license, and this two-man trucking company hired driver number 3. He took a set of B trains, which is 140,000 pounds gross is what you're allowed on a set of B trains out in Saskatchewan in Alberta. He ran a stop sign and hit a busload of hockey players, and he killed 14 and injured 16 of them or something like that. It was the numbers.
Plus some adults, so total death toll was 17 or 18 people.
Yeah, the numbers were horrific. And the guy had virtually no training, like a couple of days with another guy in the truck. And that was all they gave him. And they turned him loose with this 140,000-pound weapon. And the guy was completely unprepared for the job and the vehicle at hand. And it was just, I guess it's tragedies like this that make everybody sit up and notice how twisted the training is. But it's sad that it takes that. It shouldn't have come to that. Surely to God, these bright politicians that we pay so much to should look at this situation developing, because it's been developing for years and years, and go, we got to do something about that. That's an accident waiting to happen. But nobody pays attention until people start dying. And it's kind of too late then. Sure, they can cut back on the deaths, maybe. They're still not really doing anything about it. It's just, and you get these tragedies like that guy coming down the hill into Denver off I-70 there a while back. And the poor guy he'd run in the flatlands, but he'd never been in the hills before. Like, it's completely different driving across the prairie than driving in the mountains. And that guy found out the hard way, and it cost a few people their lives. Guys should know that before they go into the mountains. But it's just amazes me.
Just a comment, Matt Cribben. My trainer gave me the wheel after I got out of the sleeper 20 minutes away from a weigh station. I received a $4,800 ticket for being overweight. He never weighed the load while I slept.
Oh, I don't even know what to say about that. I don't even know what to say about that. I'm
Say what you think.
I can't say what I think because
against the terms of engagement on YouTube.
Yes. But I'd be doing time. Let me put it that way. I'd be doing time if someone had done that to me. But you can't say that, and you can't really do that. But that's just tragic, And I'm sure that that's not the only example. And guys, trainers would be just aware enough to know when to switch out too. They'd know after a few months where the scales were, because they'd figure out how to find them on map books and stuff like that. So why not let the rookie take it through the scale and set him up if there was going to be a problem? Why risk your points when you can risk the rookies? That's just, guys like that ought to be shot and burned on, tarred and feathered and all sorts of things. So anyway, I knew I shouldn't have said it. So anyway,
I am the Vaninator. Is the Lettuce King available as a mentor? Sure, he'll do it for free.
Man,
I don't think you want that.
I don't know if the Lettuce King would be the right guy to have as a mentor.
I'm not so sure.
I am absolutely sure of one thing, and that is that you'd have an awful lot of fun. Mm-hmm. But that's not really the point. I don't know. He sure is a hoot to get stuck at a layover with, though. I'll tell you.
Tell him about me and him arguing all the way to California about truck color.
Kathy and I were headed to the coast one time, and the Lettuce King was running with us in his own truck, and Kathy and the Lettuce King likes to build and design trucks, and he's built some amazing trucks. I don't know what this has got to do with CDL training, but anyway, and my wife
breaking the action.
My wife likes color and coordination and design and stuff like that. So she's got an eye for art. She appreciates that type of thing. So she and the Lettuce King got into a huge argument over what color the Lettuce King should paint his next truck.
And why?
And why did you get in the argument?
No, and what? No. What color he should paint it and why?
Oh, I don't even remember.
It was a 4-day argument.
Yeah, it ran for 4 days. I remember having a corner of a headache going through Omaha just because I was praying that my CB would break, and I was and so we landed. I forget the far side of Omaha. We landed for dinner somewhere, and the argument continued all the way through dinner, and then we had to get back in the trucks and just keep going. And man, if I'd had a parachute, I'd have jumped. I tell you, and they would have kept going. And they argued all the way to the coast. But it was a friendly argument. But my God.
It got a little nasty sometimes.
My God, yeah, they even got mean there a couple of times about, God, Dusty Rose, or I forget what colors they were fighting about. But anyway, so you don't want the lettuce king giving you advice on truck driver training. I think I've lost track of how many states the lettuce king is wanted in anymore, but it's quite a few. So anyway, but great guy though. So back to CDL training. Let us know if you guys have found some good, honest schools or colleges, or whatever is out there. I don't even know now. Here in Ontario, you can't find an old truck driver and say, "Can you please teach me to drive?" I don't know if you can do that down in the States or out west anymore, but here you can't. You're just not allowed to do that anymore. You've got to go through a training school. But I don't know if that's the same everywhere or not. And I'd like to know that too, whether there are states or provinces out there where you can just be taught by your dad or by an uncle or something like that, or the old guy down on the next concession. I'd love to know if you can even do that anywhere anymore. But that was truly the best way to drive, or learn to drive anyway. So, but it's become quite the thing, and it hasn't become something that has aided the trucking industry. It's been detrimental to the trucking industry, and I don't like anything that does that. It's a good job. I don't like to see anything go bad in the trucking industry, and that's one of the things
Oh my gosh.
that's really gone bad.
I'll be right back. Keep going.
So anyway, I learned to drive. I was kind of self-taught, but it was a 318 Detroit in a Transtar with a 13 speed, and I remember spending a couple days in an industrial park, going through the gears up, going through the gears down, going through the gears up, going through the gears down, just to get the hang of the transmission. Because I remember when I was teaching myself, I went with a buddy of my dad's for a few trips, but that didn't last very long. The guy passed away. Actually, is what happened to that. It was a sad deal, but. Shifting a multi-speed transmission and backing up were the two things that I had the hardest time with when I was learning to drive. So I literally hung out in this industrial park, a deserted industrial park, and just worked on it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until I got everything. But I couldn't have learned any of that sitting behind a desk reading a book. You've got to get out and do it. And I learned to back up by hanging my head out the window, because I couldn't get the hang of the mirrors. So it takes practice. It takes practice. And you just need someone that can allow you the time and give you the vehicle and the mentoring, so you can get out there and do that. That's the secret to it. Shouldn't cost you tens of thousands of dollars and months of commitment with a carrier.
Doc Dewey says Wyoming will let you take the test. If you pass, they will give you a CDL.
No, good for Wyoming. They do a lot of things right out there. I could live in Wyoming. I like their attitude out there. But yeah, just
don't like their weather.
I don't even mind their weather. I don't mind. I've spent many a snowstorm in Little America. They've got the right attitude. They don't get all excited and wound up. They don't have a ton of rules. They're just practical people. And that's the way trucking used to be everywhere. Not so much anymore, but that's good to know for Wyoming. There's another good reason to move out west.
As of February 2020, anyone wanting to get into trucking in the U.S. will have to attend a CDL program of 6 weeks or more, must pass a written test and 30-point skills test in order to get CDL. Ooh, yikes.
Now that's interesting. How many do they have a mandatory number of hours behind the wheel? That's what I'd like to know. And what now?
Oh, nothing.
That's what the ATA stepped on that once before. That they wanted a minimum mandatory number of hours behind the wheel, not in the classroom, behind the wheel. The ATA stepped on that and shut that part down. that is key to any mandate, is having a lot of hours practice behind the wheel. Let's see if they mandate that. What were you laughing at so hard?
Bigfoot was behind you there.
Oh. What else?
Trey Harper, 1999, to have Nick appear in the screen behind you. So he's done that. I hope it was worth it, Trey.
Why would you want to pay that? Thank you, but why? I tell you. How do I feel about automatic transmissions, John? Well, John, I don't know if you know this, but when I retired from my highway job, I took a job at a local lumberyard here just to keep myself busy more than anything. And last year they bought me a new truck, but it was an automatic. And there are some things I like about it. Like I can see where it's made truck driving easier, or learning to drive a truck. I can see where it's made things easier for the new guys. The only advantage I've really seen to it so far is that I can eat pizza and drive without having to worry about shifting the gears. I like that about it, but not a whole lot else. So, but you know, I know it's the way of the future. I know that it's easier to drive a truck for a new guy if it's got an automatic transmission. It's one less thing he's got to worry about when he's got a whole lot of things he's worrying about all at the same time. The government only knows how to screw things up. Gavin's saying, truer words were never spoken more than that. My God, you hit that nail on the head. Don't get me going on that, Gavin. Anyway, what else have we got here? If I was shopping for a truck right now.
Wrong topic.
Yeah, it is kind of the wrong topic, but.
Major difference between automated and automatic. The Eaton transmissions are automated, powered.
Yeah, see, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I don't even know what kind of a transmission's in this Freightliner that I drive now for this lumberyard. I couldn't tell you the make of it even. I don't care that much. I'm not interested that much. It's not a real truck to me without a standard transmission. Start an old 59 B model Mac. Why? And you learn to drive that, you can drive anything. Isn't that, boy, those were rough old girls, but yeah, they were great trucks. I worked for an outfit that had one of those out west, and you know what? It could be 40 below, and that damn thing would always start. They were great old trucks. A little bit rough, but yeah, they were good trucks.
I got a couple of announcements. I'm looking for a few people to interview their experiences from their CDL training, private schools, community college, and the paid training. And I will put my email in the chat box, and if you want to get in touch with me, and we can talk about an interview.
Okay. While she was saying that, I just noticed that this fellow thinks that Flying J Pizza sucks.
Yes, I see that.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. And I truly love pizza. When you're on the road, you get cravings, and yeah, Flying J just doesn't do it for me. Oh well. Would the pay for a Massachusetts truck driver be higher because of the higher cost of living? It certainly should be higher. Whether it truly is or not, I don't know, but it certainly should be, because the cost of living, that whole eastern seaboard there, it's expensive as hell to live. So hopefully the rates and the wages are higher up there. They certainly should be. If they're not, you'll never make it paying your mortgage as a truck driver, so find something else. But yeah, you're right, the cost of living there is huge. You're reading all the funny comments. I'm getting jealous here. My first truck was an '82 Ford W9000 cab over. Were they the ones that leaned over when you go to get up into them? She's no help to me at all here. All you can hear is laughing in the background here.
Say what says there rather than pizza. There's always roller wiener Monday.
Where are you looking at this? Roller wiener?
You
Oh,
know
I see
those
it. There's
things?
always roller. Oh, you can't. Who's that? Say what? I
Oh,
honestly
dear.
don't think I've even ever seen anybody eat one of those
No, but
wieners
you
off
see
those.
them all the time.
Oh, you see them in all sorts of
Greasy
truck
hot
stops.
dogs.
I've never seen anyone
Ugh.
buy one or eat it or run to the can later to throw up or something, but I don't know why they put those out. I guess, I don't know, somebody must eat them, I
Somebody
suppose.
must
Maybe
eat
the
them.
staff eats them, I don't know. They're closer to the bathrooms, they're not out in a truck. That's, that's Jesus.
Oh dear.
That's truck stop suicide, those things.
Panic, my son would like you to leave your phone number in the description of your videos.
My phone number. They don't let me have a phone.
No, he's not a lot. He has a flip phone.
Where is it? Oh yeah,
Yeah. Don't you embarrass yourself.
I'm good. I'm the only guy. Here's what kind of an old school guy I am. I've got a flip phone still. I'm probably the only guy in the country with one.
And my kids won't be seen in public with him because they're so embarrassed because he has a flip phone.
Yeah, it's true. The kids won't go anywhere with me in case I whip out my phone. Oh well.
Oh, here's Gavin saying roller wieners are great. What are you talking
Oh, Gavin, you need help, buddy.
Oh dear.
Get to a doctor quickly. Oh. I had to stop to think about what you were talking about
Well,
there for a
as soon
second.
as I read it, that's
She
why I
started
was
laughing. She obviously got it. And I
I
think
knew what
roller
it
wieners.
meant.
Oh
Roller
yeah.
wieners.
See that part of the menu. I walk right by that stuff. I just can't even. I don't even think about it.
On your way to Denny's.
I can tolerate the occasional thing at Denny's. I can't eat Subway anymore. Subway gave me food poisoning, and that was
Somebody said your stock
Years
just went
ago.
down.
my Doug Smith. I tell you, but no, I can't eat Subway anymore. That was just they cured me.
This guy wants to know if homemade roller wieners are any better.
Homemade roller.
Roller wieners are usually a hot topic on Trucking Answers Monday's live show.
I can believe that somehow.
Oh,
I can believe that
no.
somehow.
Oh, getting carried away here.
Oh,
Oh.
I'm starting to feel a little nauseous just thinking
Getting
about
off
those things.
topic.
Yeah, man.
Subway is
What-
nastier than a fresh. Ooh, I better not see
What-
that on YouTube.
What are homemade roller wieners? You guys have like a roller system
Oh,
in
he's
your,
kidding.
in your kitchen?
I think he's kidding.
Like you buy one of those for your wife? Man, I bet you she was happy.
Shannon got food poisoning from the McDonald's in Rollins on the bypass.
Oh, is that right?
Deep
Oh.
fried burritos at a Pilot. Ooh.
Oh man, if you've ever had food poisoning, you'll remember it for the rest of your life. And I've had it twice.
I've had it 3 times.
Have you really?
Mhm.
Oh my God, I remember lying in that truck in that rest area just praying for death because I just felt so goddamn awful. I was wishing I was dead. Would have been less painful to be dead.
What's your favorite item from Tim Hortons? We're way off topic.
Yeah, we are.
Everything. He loves Tim Hortons.
Potato bacon soup.
And donuts.
Had some today.
What are they? Chocolate.
No, I don't eat those anymore.
Crullers.
No, honey crullers, but no, I had to give those up.
These guys are getting nasty here. Back to trucking schools.
Yeah, back to trucking schools. So does anybody want to talk about trucking schools, or should we just keep going? Because I'm
About
enjoying
roller
this.
wieners.
Roller. I don't want to talk about roller wieners.
Maybe we have to compete with Trucking Answers.
They really talk about that?
On Mondays? Ew.
I don't even know what to say about that.
Oh dear.
It wouldn't be anything good.
Oh my. Rename the stream to Roller Wieners Date Spots.
Jack Hartman, thank you for the work you put into your channel. I'm 21 years old, a welder, and looking for a change of pace. You know what? I really enjoyed trucking. I always wished I was good at welding, but I bet you it would get kind of tiresome after a while. I just bet you've burned yourself a few times. But if you're thinking about a career change, if you find the right place to work, it is a good career. the years fly by. I can testify to that. And that's what you want when you're working for a living. You want something that the years just go by, and trucking's good for that.
Jeremy Morgan, thank you. I can't eat most of the food at most truck stops, including Denny's, Buckhorn, or Country Pride. Oh, you.
Country Pride, is that what the TA restaurants are called? Country Pride? That rings a bell.
Country Pride, I'm not sure. Oh, yeah,
I think that's the TA chain. There's something else since we're talking about food instead of trucking schools. I've noticed that a lot of truck stops now are just going with fast food outlets rather than having their own restaurants. What am I missing here?
These guys are pretty funny.
Oh, but yeah.
We're not talking about schools. Somebody asked something about schools. Anyway, we need to get back on track.
There was something I could eat at Denny's. Oh, those cheese stick things, mozzarella cheese sticks.
Ew.
With the dipping sauce. I could eat those from Denny's. But Country Pride, yeah, there's good ones and bad ones. You know where else was good was
the Cracker Barrel.
No, God no. Grandma Max's in Grand Island, Nebraska at the Bossamans. I don't know if they still have that or not, but it was a good restaurant.
There's a better living selling roller wieners than trucking anymore. Oh.
I don't know how you could sell those things. I don't think I could give those things away. But anyway, Grandma Max's was a good truck stop to eat at. Little America, Wyoming, I liked it there.
Cracker Barrel.
What was the name of that casino that used to be in Reno, on the west end of Reno? Boomtown. That used to have a really good buffet. Last time I was through there, it was gone, and they replaced it with a Cabela's or something was there instead. But that was a good buffet there at that Boomtown casino. Anyway.
A few comments. Wrap it up.
Yeah.
Never cook beans in your slow cooker.
I wouldn't cook beans, period.
I would.
Richard Pierce I think it's him really likes brown beans, but.
I will be attending CDL school, and I was told I have to meet with the recruiters, even I'm paying out of my pocket. What's your take on that?
Say that again. I've got to pay to meet.
I will be attending CDL school,
yeah.
But I was told I still have to meet with the recruiters, even though I'm paying out of my own pocket. What's your take on that? That's ridiculous.
That's interesting. Well, you know what their angle is there. I'd be curious to know who the carrier is, but that rings alarm bells with me.
Yeah, something doesn't sound right about that.
Yeah. You know, I'm sure what these carriers do is they'll take everybody's money, but then hire the select few that they want, or something like that. There's a method to their madness there. So, yeah, I'd be leery of that.
Got a great idea. Do more food reviews from popular truck stops or restaurants. Let's do our next live stream. We'll review foods from the truck stops. How about that?
All right, that's fair enough.
That would be fun.
I have eaten cross country for years, so it's one of my favorite pastimes, in fact. So, yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Eating.
Yes, eating. Good food when you're on the road. It's just
hard to come by.
Yeah, it's hard to come by, and it just makes your week if you find a good spot to eat. And the rest of the time, living off the crap that they sell at the truck stops and stuff, man, it's enough to discourage you from trucking. But you score a good truck stop with a good restaurant, that's a big win, believe me. And there aren't any across Canada that are any good. Like once you get out of, God, I'm hard pressed to think of a good one north of Toronto, like headed for BC. There's nothing out there but petrol cans, and they're not even truck stops. I don't know what to call. That's one of the reasons I like trucking in the States. At least they had good truck stops and good food. Not up here. Just so you know.
Trey wants to know what your opinion is on RuneScape.
RuneScape? What's RuneScape?
And he thinks you need to take Nick to someplace else besides Tim Hortons. Oh dear. What's RuneScape?
That's a gaming
You don't
thing,
know that?
right? Isn't it? I know the word sounds familiar. I must have heard Nick say it. I don't know anything about gaming. I'm
Well,
not
you
I'm not a
should.
game kind of guy. I'm a serious business kind of guy. And a food kind of guy.
One guy wants to know what we should replace roller wieners with roller bacon.
You know, I really like bacon, and it's probably sacrilegious to do something like that to bacon. It's nothing like bacon and eggs in the morning. I love good bacon. I like it a little bit on the.
It helps build up your cholesterol.
I don't like it crispy. What's the word? Soft or rare,
raw.
or whatever. That's how I like my bacon. So it bends when you pick it up.
Ew.
It's good for you.
Ew. Okay, let's wrap it up.
Well, thanks for watching. Please give us your feedback on the CDL schools. I think that's what we started about talking initially, was about that. So please give us your feedback. If you know any of the good ones, let us know where they are, what you enjoyed about it, what your experience overall was with the thing. If there were things that you wish they'd kept you longer to work on backing up or something like that, please let us know. Any feedback you've got would be appreciated, and we'll share it with everybody.
I have two announcements before you sign off. RG Utah, I'm working at Pride out of Salt Lake City thanks to your video. Thank you.
Well,
That's awesome.
Thank you for saying so.
That's awesome.
I think that if I was going to go to a big carrier, if I could have from where I lived, I'd have gone to work for them. I think you've made a good choice there. I hear lots of good things about Pride. So good. I appreciate you saying so and feeding that back to us. Thank you.
Bacon wrap bacon. Halloweeners.
Oh my God.
Halloweeners. Oh, you guys are good. You guys are good. One more announcement. We are getting ready also to open up a Discord server. So we're really looking forward to getting that out there, hopefully within the next week. We're going to be inviting the YouTube members in by tomorrow or Saturday, and hopefully open to all the public within a week. So look forward to that. And that's it.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for watching. I've enjoyed the time with you.
Keep the
You guys take care. Keep the rubber side down. And we will see you on the back hall, Catwoman and I here. Thanks for watching. Take care.